standard 4.1 meets, I can use the best fit line to determine the slope. In order to determine the slope, the first thing that we need to do is remember what our slope equation is. Remember that our slope equation is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This also helps us figure out our units on the answer that we give. It should be our y units over our x units. So now let's take a look at what we have on the graph. We have some data points that are on the line, some data points that are not on the line, some areas on the line that look like they could be an easy point to spot, but they don't have a dot on them. When we take 2 points in order to find the slope, it doesn't matter if they're pre-existing points or not. All that matters is that it's on the line. We also want to choose 2 points that are far apart. Choosing 2 points that are far apart allows us to get a bigger picture of the slope, right? Rather than taking the slope from a super small area by taking it from two further apart points, we just get a more realistic picture and a more accurate slope of the line that we have. Now, the first one that I see that's going to be pretty easy to use is 0, 0. The second point, right, some of these points are not on the line. We cannot use those. This point's on the line, but is difficult for me to decide exactly what it is. One point that I see that crosses an intersection in the graph well is right here. I'm going to choose this point even though it doesn't previously exist. This point is 5, 400. Now I have 2 different points that I can take the slope of. This point up here is point number 2. This point is point number 1. The way that we decide that is if you start at the bottom corner of the graph, right, and you follow the trend, which point do you run into first and which point do you run into second? So y2 is 400 minus y1, which is 0. x2, which is 5, minus y2, which is 0. If I do some simple math there, I end up getting 400 over 5. If I plug that into my calculator, I get 80. Now, I need units on this number. It should be my y units over my x units, which means I should have meters over seconds.